Alex Eala is set to compete in the singles and doubles events.
With energy like that, you don't get tired, so it was good.
And Alex, so good to have you out here for the first time. How special was that?
Having too much crowd on this or any other tennis tournament is a very good problem to have.
Rafael Nadal is in shock. Not because of a match result, not because of a ranking, because his own student, a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines who trained at his academy since she was 13, just walked into Indian Wells and pulled more attention than anyone in women's tennis has seen in years. His uncle said it first. Tony Nadal, the man who coached Rafa to 14 Grand Slams, watched Eala play, assessed her game, and delivered a verdict that stopped the tennis world cold. Once she gets her game right, she could be among the best in the world. The Nadal family does not say things like that lightly, since the numbers came out. Eala's Australian Open press conference drew 171,000 online viewers. Sabalenka's drew 9,000. Alcaraz drew 29,000. A player ranked 49th in the world at the time, no Grand Slam, no top 10 ranking, pulled 17 times more eyeballs than the world number 1 on the tournament's own platform. Then 3 former American ATP professionals sat down on a podcast and said what everyone in the sport was thinking, but nobody had said out loud. Is Eala already the biggest draw in women's tennis on the planet? Bigger than Sabalenka? Bigger than Goff? Steve Johnson. Yes, every court. Australia, Dubai, standing room only. It's insane. John Eisner. A lot of people wildly underestimated how big that market is. They finally have a star. Sam Querrey. She's like an absolute rock star. No pushback, no qualification.
Is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now?
Yes.
Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco?
Dude, it's crazy. She's having the same effect that Fonseca was having, like, on the men's side last year in Miami.
It's like Fonseca, but I think it's bigger than Fonseca.
It is, yeah, it is.
Like, the Doha, like, crowds were insane for her last week.
Yeah.
Correct.
She's definitely one to watch, obviously because she's so good, but just for the atmosphere. You want to tune into her matches just to see what it's like on the court.
There's got to be, like, a little jealousy maybe from some of the women. That girl's coming in, she's not top 10, biggest star in the world.
3 former pros, 1 unanimous verdict. Now she's in California, Indian Wells, the 5th Grand Slam, nearly 2 million Filipinos within driving distance. Fans already flooding practice court 6 before she played a single competitive ball, holding selfie sticks above the crowd, angling through fences just to catch a glimpse. The tournament's own website called her one of tennis's most delightfully unkept secrets, and already a household name in the sport.
These tournaments are such great experiences for me, you know, especially playing in front of the best crowd ever. And I do my best. I do what I can, and just if I see an opening, I think it's important.
Rafael Nadal came out of retirement for exactly 1 day, 1 year after his final match, to step back onto a court. The player he chose? Alex Eala. His message to his 14 million followers afterwards: next time, I will be stronger. That wink emoji said everything. California has never seen this, and it's only just getting started. 1 year ago, Alex Eala needed a phone call just to get through the door. March 2025, Miami Open. Ranked 140th in the world with no ranking status, to earn direct entry, she required the tournament's invitation, a wild card, just to compete. Most players in that position survive a round or two and disappear quietly back down the draw. What followed over the next 2 weeks was one of the most extraordinary runs in recent WTA history. Round 1, Yelena Ostapenko. 2017 French Open champion, dispatched. Round 2, Madison Keys, reigning Australian Open champion at the time, defeated 6-4, 6-2. Round 3, Iga Swiatek, world number 2, 4 French Open titles, won 6-2, 7-5, 3 Grand Slam. Champions, straight sets, single wild card, ranked 141st in the world. The first Filipino in WTA history to defeat a top 2 opponent as a wild card. Only the second wild card ever to beat 3 Grand Slam champions in straight sets at the same event.
19-year-old lefty Alex Eala from the Philippines could be the next big thing in pro tennis.
this is the goal
My goal is to be able to integrate myself into the WTA circuit more and
to be able to handle myself better on the court.
Bolted into the spotlight last month after making the semifinals at one of the biggest pro tennis tournaments in the world.
The first being Elena Rybakina at Wimbledon 2023. Her ranking jumped from 140 to 75 in a single week. Fast forward 12 months. The player who needed a wildcard invitation to enter Miami now walks into Indian Wells as a seeded competitor, skipping the opening round entirely while 63 other players battle through qualifying just to reach her level. World number 32, career high, first seeded Filipino player in WTA 1000 history. First round bye secured alongside Sabalenka, Swiatek, Rybakina, and Goff. February 2026, Dubai Tennis Championships. Eala defeats world number 7 Jasmine Paolini in straight sets. Her first top 10 win of the year.
Another wonderful win for Alexandra Eala. Thank you, Jasmine, she says. Paolini gracious as ever in defeat. The former champion is out. Alexandra Eala.
Then Sorana Cîrstea, then the quarterfinal where she ran into Coco Gauff and lost 6-0, 6-2. The scoreline looked heavy. What it actually represented was a 20-year-old measuring herself against a two-time Grand Slam champion and finding out exactly where the gap still exists. Those 215 ranking points from Dubai landed on her existing position on the exact date of Indian Wells' seeding cutoff, February 23rd. The result was automatic. History made before she boarded the flight to California. The Eala effect did not begin at Indian Wells. It has been building across 3 continents since January. Melbourne, Australian Open. The organization placed her on court 6 for her main draw debut, a standard outside court, no special treatment, no expectation of what was coming. What unfolded caught the entire tournament off guard. Fans queued in numbers, stretching back toward Rod Laver Arena. Thousands couldn't get inside. Those locked out didn't leave. They crowded outdoor screens and watched on big boards just to exist in the same building.
Of course, the atmosphere in each tournament has been amazing, and it's been a different start this year than any other year I've ever had. So,
sports, Alex Eala makes history in the U.S. as the first Filipino tennis player to compete at the Indian Wells Open.
Her pre-tournament press conference drew 171,000 online viewers. Sabalenka's drew 9,000. Alcaraz drew 29,000. A player ranked 49th at the time in her first main draw appearance at a Grand Slam, outpulling the world number 1 by a factor of 17 on the tournament's own platform. The Australian Open had no protocol for what was happening. They hadn't needed one before. Each event bigger than the one before it. Not stabilizing, not leveling off, but growing. Now she has arrived in the California desert. And California is not a neutral venue for this story. Nearly 2 million Filipinos live across the state, the largest concentration in the United States. Los Angeles, San Diego, the Bay Area, 3 of the most densely populated Filipino communities on American soil, all within driving distance of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. This is not a diaspora sending support from across the Pacific. This is a diaspora that can get in a car. The Eala effect hit practice court 6 before she struck a competitive ball. Her first training session at the tournament drew fans holding selfie sticks above the crowd to capture footage, others angling through fences of adjacent courts just to see her work. After practice, a large group gathered on the player's lawn, chanting her name as she crossed toward the lounge. The fan base itself has now been heard by people at the highest levels of the sport. On February 24th, 3 former American ATP professionals, Sam Querrey, Steve Johnson, and John Eisner, sat down on the Nothing Major podcast and said what the numbers had been quietly screaming for months. Querrey asked the question directly. Is Eala the biggest draw in women's tennis right now in the world? Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco? Johnson. Yes. Dude, it's crazy. Every court, Australia, Dubai, standing room only. It's insane. It's massive. The crowds she's getting all over the world are insane. Eisner went straight to the market. I think a lot of people wildly underestimated how big that market is. They finally have a star on the women's side. It would be the same if they had a men's star. There are some huge markets with untapped potential. They just need players to emerge and make a name for themselves. That's what Alex has done. Query's final verdict: she's like an absolute rock star.
Is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now?
Yes.
Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco?
Dude, it's crazy. She's having the same effect that Fonseca was having, like, on the men's side last year in Miami.
It's like Fonseca, but I think it's bigger than Fonseca.
It is, yeah, it is.
Like, the Doha, like, crowds were insane for her last week.
Yeah.
Correct.
She's definitely one to watch, obviously because she's so good, but just for the atmosphere. You want to tune into her matches just to see what it's like on the court.
There's got to be like a little jealousy maybe from some of the women. That girl's coming in, she's not top 10, biggest star in the world.
3 former professionals placing a world number 32 above the reigning Grand Slam champion and the most marketed player on the WTA Tour in terms of crowd pull. No pushback, no qualification, flat agreement across the table. The Nadal connection is the part of this story that changes its scale entirely. Eala has trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, Spain since she was 13 years old. She graduated from the academy in 2023. During her breakthrough Miami run last year, Nadal personally sent her congratulatory messages after the Keys win, after the Swiatek win, tracking every match from retirement. Then November 19, 2025 arrived. Exactly 1 year to the day since Nadal played his final match at the Davis Cup Finals in Malaga. 22 Grand Slams, decades of dominance. The most decorated clay court player in history, stepping away from the sport he had defined for 2 decades. On the anniversary of that retirement, he walked back onto a tennis court, not for a comeback announcement, not for a sponsored exhibition. He returned specifically to practice with Eala, his student, his academy's most prominent graduate, the player he had been quietly watching climb since she was a teenager. Afterwards, he posted the session to his 14 million followers. "It was great to practice with you, Alex Eala. Next time, I will be stronger." The wink emoji in Rafa's message was not an accident. The man who spent 2 decades perfecting tennis was telling his student and his audience that she pushed him, that he needed to come back stronger. From a 22-time Grand Slam champion on the 1-year anniversary of his career. Ending, those words carry a weight that no ranking number can replicate.
If Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court.
Is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now in the world?
And then we have a big challenger after this in...
The first set, forgettable from her point of view, but sets 2 and 3, she really did turn it on. As ever, Alexander.
Final shot that with a little complexity. Alexandra Eala breaking in the first game of the match.
Then his uncle spoke. Tony Nadal, the coach behind every one of those 14 Roland Garros titles, the most decorated tennis coach in the history of the sport, watched Eala play and offered an assessment that immediately circulated across every major tennis platform. Once she gets her game right, she could be among the best in the world. Mats Wilander, 7 Grand Slams and decades as the sport's most respected analyst, went further. With Alexandra Eala, we are talking about someone who has hands given by God. At Indian Wells, Eala opens against the winner of Zhang Shuai or Diana Yastremska in the round of 64. A favorable match on paper. She holds a 6-1, 6-2 head-to-head record against Yastremska from their Eastbourne meeting last year, and has yet to face Zhang. Get through that and a potential Goff rematch waits in the round of 32. The same player who dismissed her 6-0, 6-2 in Dubai, this time in California. This time with nearly 2 million Filipinos within driving distance of the court.
All the emotions are coming because the tension was so high, especially during that second set. She's a great opponent, obviously being top 10 and a former champion here, so to be able to compete with her at this level is a great achievement for me.
Goff will technically be closer to home soil. The crowd dynamic may not follow that logic. A deep run at Indian Wells does more than generate ranking points. It puts Eala's name in the conversation for the top 30 ahead of what comes next. The Miami Open, the exact tournament where the legend started, now returning as a seeded player 1 year later. The prize for winning Indian Wells outright, 1,000 ranking points and $1.15 million. Tennis Gazette readers were asked to predict the winner before a ball was struck. From over 400 votes, 61.2% backed Eala. Sabalenka, the world number 1, the defending presence at the top of the tour, received 7.8%. The math on that vote is not a reflection of rankings or form. It is a reflection of belief, and belief in this sport is not nothing. There is one genuine concern that analysts have raised and that Eala herself has acknowledged. Slow hard. Courts. Her first-round exit at the 2026 Qatar Open, one of the slowest surfaces on the tour, exposed a limitation. Indian Wells plays faster than Qatar, which works in her favor. But if she advances deep into the draw and faces opponents who neutralize her movement and force her to grind on slower conditions, the question of whether her game translates completely at this level remains open. Jimmy Arias on Tennis Channel addressed it directly. She's not going to be Sabalenka. She's not going to be a Rybakina type where she can just go out and serve and hit her way out of matches. She's got to go out there and methodically, tactically beat her opponents point by point, and she does such a good job at that. When she gets that crowd on her side, she is a tough out.
Person, and I feel like, people will like you for who you are if you are true to yourself.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to come on here and thank every single one of you for your support, taking the time and effort out of your day to be there and cheer me on with the other girls. It means so much, especially at this time of the year.
That is the full picture California is preparing to witness. Not just a rising player making her debut at a prestigious tournament. A cultural phenomenon arriving at the exact moment her momentum, her ranking, and her support base have aligned in the same place at the same time for the first time in her career. The Nadal family has seen everything this sport has produced. Both of them use their credibility to stake a claim on where this is heading. The former pros who played at this level looked at the numbers from Melbourne and Dubai and placed her above the Grand Slam champions in terms of what she means to a room. And Rafael Nadal, on the anniversary of the day his career ended, chose to spend his first day back on a tennis court with her. California already knows what it's getting. The only question left is how far this run goes. 1 year ago, she needed an invitation to get through the door. This week, she walks in seated, with the attention of an entire sport behind her and nearly 2 million Filipinos within driving distance. The Nadals saw it coming. Wilander saw it coming. 3 former ATP pros said it out loud. California is about to find out if they were right. How far does Eala go at Indian Wells? Quarterfinal, final, or champion? Drop your prediction right now.